If you let your potential partners push you around and you feel like, well, there's nothing you can do about it if you want to win business from them, if you believe that, well, it's just part of selling to essentially get bullied, then I'm here to tell you that it's not. And I'm going to show you how you can become more assertive to put a stop to all of this self-sabotaging behaviour of being weak and passive. Because assertive salespeople close more often, and you want to close more deals, right? So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Will Barron, founder of salesman.org, where we make selling simple. We break down selling into basic building blocks and then tell you how to assemble them for success. If you want to know more about what we do, click the link in the description and let's jump right into it. Now, a high percentage of sales professionals out in the marketplace, well, they let their potential partners bully them around. They bend to the unreasonable demands of other people and they try essentially anything to get the deal done. They take their partner's kids to school for a month whilst nursing sick Auntie Margret for just a sniff of potentially closing a deal if it was an option. Is this you? Are you passive rather than assertive in your day-to-day selling conversations? Well, the crazy thing is that in our research at salesman.org, sales professionals with a high level of assertiveness, those that don't get pushed around, do far better with regards to hitting their sales targets. That's why we measure assertiveness as a key success trait in our own salesman.org sales DNA assessment. Now, the good news is that if you're currently a wet, passive drip of a sales professional, well, there are 6 God-given assertive rights that once you make them your default set of behaviours, you're never going to be seen as weak and passive in business ever again. So let's pull away from the business world just for a split second, because I want to give you a more personal, outside of sales example of how a lack of assertiveness pulls on your emotions and can even be used as a tool to manipulate you. So imagine that a friend calls you up and asks if you can pick up their mother from the airport because they're going to be at work when her flight arrives. So the mother is coming in at 6 p.m. into the big city airport, and you know you're going to be facing an hour's worth of traffic one way to collect her and then an hour at least to come back as well. You want to say no, of course you do, but you realise that this is going to make you feel guilty. Conversely, if you say yes, you're going to hate yourself for wasting the only non-renewable resource that you have, which is, of course, time. So then you start to let all of this play out in your mind and you realise that, heck, you would never ask this particular friend to go and pick up your mother or father or someone on your behalf. Every time that you've needed to get someone from the airport, you've booked the time off work and you've done it yourself. Additionally, your friend never explained why he couldn't take some time off work and pick them up either. You know, why couldn't his wife have gone and done it? Couldn't she have just grabbed a taxi and you go down this rabbit hole of self-talk and bullying and beating yourself up? And what's happening here is that your real desires are in conflict with the conditioning and the training that both your parents and society have given you, since you were 2-3 years old. You're concerned that if you say no, your friend's going to feel hurt and maybe they're going to reject you or they're not going to like you anymore. You may be concerned that he's going to think that you're self-centered, that you think you're too big for your boots, that you're too big and brash to go and help out a friend in need. You start to then wonder whether saying no is, if it's actually reasonable or not, whatever that means, because that's essentially immeasurable. Then you start to feel ignorant if you're ignoring this person and you're not getting back to them quickly, and then perhaps you feel anxious or you even feel guilty before you've even said yes or no. So of course, you say yes and you do this run for your friend, and after the fact, you come to the conclusion that this was a manipulative act on his part and clearly non-productive for your relationship moving forward. So let me ask you, does any of this sound familiar? Because it might be your parents taking advantage of you, it might be your sales manager throwing extra work on top of you, or it could be your friends or your family, like in the example I just gave you. The exciting thing is that today is when all of that changes, because you own your emotions and behaviour. So the first step to becoming assertive is for you to realise that no one can manipulate you. They can't push your emotions, they can't push your buttons, they can very difficult to even manipulate your behaviour unless you let them. It's your choice, not theirs. Now, to get deeper into this, you have a series of assertive rights which leads to this outcome. There's a basic framework I'm going to share with you now that will let you live your life, have relationships with other humans, you're going to be able to express yourself to others without fear of judgment, and it's going to enable you, this framework, to help others when you choose to help them, rather than being browbeaten into doing something like in the example I shared at the top of this video. This framework is going to help you succeed in being assertive in both sales and of course out of sales as well. How does that sound? Are you in? Well, let's run through our God-given assertive rights which build up this framework that we're now going to live by. So, our assertive rights. You have the right to offer no reasons or excuses for your behaviour. You have the right to judge if you should find solutions for other people's problems. You have the right to change your mind. That seems like a simple one, but it's incredibly powerful. You have the right to say, I don't know. And we'll dive into it in a second why we hold back on saying these things, but you have the right to say, I do not know. You have the right to be illogical when you're making decisions. And finally, you have the important right of the ability, the right to say, I just don't care. I do not care. I don't give a shit. Now, the crazy thing is with all these assertive rights is that they're pretty obvious. There's no rocket science. There's no equations going on this board. So let me make this real for you. If you were talking to a child, then you take the assertive side of the conversation and you'd leverage these rights by default. This would be your normal stance. This is how you would interact with a young guy, young girl, whatever it is. You wouldn't be worried about saying, I don't know, if they asked you a dumb question. You'd probably laugh as you said it. You wouldn't be concerned about randomly changing your mind about something. You would pull them along with whatever changes of mind that you had. But all of this tends to change when we feel like someone else has authority in the conversation, like our boss or a potential partner. Then we'd never dare say, I don't care, to their face, even though you would say that to a child. So from that logic, if we find ourselves not leveraging these beliefs, then we're the child in the conversation rather than the adult. Now let me ask you a question super bluntly. Do you think that your potential partners want to work with a child, or do they want to work with an adult? Of course, they want to work with adults. And this is why increasing your assertiveness and your confidence, why this alone can dramatically improve your selling results. And we've got a video coming up very soon on increasing your levels of confidence, which is taken right from the salesman.org platform. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. So just like there's a child and adult relationship, each one of these assertive beliefs comes alongside a childish belief as well. So let's run through these and make a mental note if any of them feel, from your gut, feel like behaviors that you fall into regularly, because then we can solve the problem, right? As soon as we become aware of it, we can start to change it. So the first one, the childish belief is that you should always have an answer as to why you did something right or wrong. Otherwise, how possibly could a parent judge you or reprimand you? The adult version of this belief is that, well, you have the right to offer no reasons or excuses for your behavior. Next up, we have the childish belief that good children should sacrifice their own values and time to keep systems or people from falling apart. Of course, that's what a child thinks. As an adult, you have the right to judge if you should find solutions for other people's problems or not. Next one, you shouldn't change your mind. If you do, you need to justify your new choice and admit that a previous choice was made in error. That's the childish belief. The adult assertive belief is that, of course, you have the right to change your mind. You're an adult. You can do basically what you want as long as it's not hurting or affecting other people. So we have our adult assertive belief there. Next up, the childish belief. You must know the answer because a parent has asked you a question and it's rude not to reply to an adult. But the adult assertive belief, the opposite, the yin to this yang, is that, well, you've got the right to say, I don't know. Especially when you don't know. Why lie about it? Next up, we have the childish belief. You must be able to explain yourself logically so a parent can follow along with what's going on and then be a judge if you've been good or bad. Of course, the adult, the opposite of this, the adult assertive belief is that you've got the right to be illogical. You can choose to be illogical in making decisions and you don't have to explain yourself for that. Then, the childish belief, you should play nice with others and you should share your toys. I'm sure you, just like every other child on this planet, was told this when they were younger. And the adult assertive belief, the opposite of this is, well, you've got the right to say, I don't care. Now, as you can see, each of these childish beliefs were installed into your brain when you were a kid, when you were a child. And the thing is, you were somehow meant to grow out of these childish beliefs. But nobody told you this. Nobody trained you that you needed to grow out of these childish behaviours. So if you've not been very assertive in your life thus far, that's not your fault. Moving forward though, now that you know your God-given assertive rights, well, zero excuses. You need to make all of these rights your default response when a potential partner tries to bully or take advantage of you. And you can only do that by memorizing them, learning them, going through this video multiple times, and then practicing them every single day. So to wrap up this video, here are your 6 basic human assertive rights. And every human on the planet has these rights. You are included. We'll quickly run through them again. You have the right to offer no reasons or excuses for your behaviour. You have the right to judge if you should find solutions of other people's problems. You have the right to change your mind. You have the right to say, I don't know. You have the right to be illogical when making decisions. And of course, you have the right to say, I don't care. That last one is important. And there we have it. So start putting these rights into practice, and then you'll start to see respect from your potential partners, and your sales, your closing rate will skyrocket. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and leave a comment below if you've got any thoughts on assertiveness or confidence in selling that you'd like to share with Sales Nation. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.